At Harrison & Sons Auto Garage in a dusty corner of small-town Ohio, the rhythm of clanging wrenches and roaring engines filled the air every day like music. Mechanics in grease-stained overalls swapped jokes over toolboxes, customers shuffled in and out with complaints and keys, and in the far back, almost part of the shadows, worked Miguel, the janitor. Miguel was a quiet, middle-aged man with calloused hands, silvering hair, and eyes that held stories no one ever bothered to ask about. He swept floors, took out the trash, and wiped down oil spills without a word. No one remembered when he was hired, only that he was always there, before sunrise, after closing. Some of the younger mechanics poked fun at him. "Hey, engine whisperer," one would jeer whenever Miguel paused near a car hood, his gaze lingering just a moment too long. "Trying to fix it with your mop?" The others laughed, never cruel enough to push him out, but never kind enough to invite him in. Miguel would only smile faintly and go back to mopping. One rainy Tuesday, everything changed. The garage was in chaos. A customer, a man in a crisp navy suit, had brought in a rare 1969 Shelby GT500 Mustang that wouldn't start. The vehicle was pristine, like something from a museum, and the customer's temper was already boiling. "If you can't fix it, say so," he snapped at Eddie, the lead mechanic. "I've got buyers flying in tomorrow. This car doesn't start, I lose $500,000. Eddie grumbled under his breath and dug deeper under the hood, but something wasn't adding up. The computer readouts were normal. The fuel system seemed intact. Every bolt, hose, and wire looked perfect. Still, the engine refused to even cough. As the team crowded around, shouting over each other, offering guesses and excuses, Miguel stood at a distance, mop in hand, watching silently. Then, quietly, awkwardly, he stepped forward. "May I take a look?" he asked, voice soft. The room fell silent, then burst into laughter. "You gonna fix it with a mop bucket?" Eddie chuckled. "Sit down, old man. This isn't a janitor's job." Miguel didn't flinch. Instead, he gently set down his mop and reached into his pocket, pulling out a small worn leather pouch, like something an old mechanic might have carried 50 years ago. Ignoring the scoffs and murmurs, he stepped to the engine and, with surprising grace, adjusted 3 connections with the precision of a surgeon. Then he tapped the carburetor twice, muttered something under his breath, maybe a prayer, maybe muscle memory, and stepped back. "Try it now," he said simply. Eddie rolled his eyes but turned the key. The engine roared to life. Loud, smooth, perfect. The Mustang growled like it had just rolled off the factory line in 1969. No one spoke for a moment. Then someone whispered, "What the hell?" The suited customer's jaw dropped. "How did you do that?" "We've been at it for hours." Miguel gave a small shrug, suddenly shy under their stares. "I worked at Ford. Back in the day. Helped design the carburetors for this model. Before they laid us off." Suddenly, the room shifted. The jokes dried up. The younger mechanics exchanged glances, embarrassed, stunned. All this time, they'd mocked a man who'd helped build the very machines they worshipped. Later that day, Eddie found Miguel sitting alone on an overturned bucket in the back room, sipping weak coffee from a paper cup. "Hey, I didn't know," Eddie began awkwardly. "About Ford. About what you did." Miguel smiled kindly. "It's all right. Most people don't ask. Why didn't you say anything?" Miguel looked out the smudged window, watching the rain. "Pride doesn't fix engines. I needed a job, so I took the one they gave me." There was silence for a beat, and then Eddie said, "We're giving you a new one. Senior technician. Full benefits. If you'll take it." Miguel chuckled, a tear glinting in his eye. "My hands still remember. I'd be honored." The news spread through town like wildfire. Customers came in asking for Miguel by name. High school kids brought him their beaters for advice. The same mechanics who once mocked him now stood beside him, watching him work with reverent awe. The Mustang owner returned a week later, not with a complaint, but with a framed photo of Miguel beside the Mustang and a handwritten thank you note that read, "You reminded me what genius in silence looks like." But perhaps the most beautiful moment came one evening when a young boy, maybe 8 or 9, came into the shop with his mother. He tugged at Miguel's sleeve and said, "My grandpa said you made cars talk." Miguel knelt down and smiled. "I just listened." That night, as the garage lights dimmed and the town settled under the stars, Miguel locked up and walked past the Mustang one last time. He ran his fingers gently along the hood, as if saying goodbye to an old friend. Sometimes, greatness isn't loud. Sometimes, it sweeps the floor quietly, waiting for a moment to rise, not to shine, but to serve. And in that small garage in Ohio, people learned a simple truth: respect isn't earned by title, age, or uniform, but by the heart, humility, and quiet brilliance of a man who never stopped believing that what you build with love lasts forever.